Okay, so we're factoring in GCFs and grouping. Nothing today is new. You did grouping in Algebra 2. We've done GCFs since at least junior high. I don't know what elementary does. Okay, so GCF is just your greatest common factor. Things to remember, they need to be in order. Always put from highest to lowest degree first. Okay, and what numbers do they have in common? What letters do they have in common? Your GCF can be numbers and letters. Okay, so looking here, we have this, and it says to factor the following. You have to put it in factored form. So there's two things you need to do. You need to find your GCF. So what goes into, we're just going to look at the numbers. Let's make sure it's in order first. 4 plus 3 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. 3 plus 2 is 5. So it's in order. It's from highest degree to lowest degree. These two, the order doesn't matter. Okay? So what number do they all have in common? What can go into 9, 15, and 18? What can go into 9, 15, and 18? 3. Okay, so 3 is our GCF number. And then we have to see what letters they have in common. Well, they all have an A and they all have a C, so we know that we're going to take out an A and a C, but it's just figuring out how much or how many. Okay, so this is A to the 4th, A to the 3rd, and A to the 3rd. So they all have at least 3. So we're going to take out 3. We can't take out 4 because this one doesn't have 4 and this one doesn't have 4. So you really find the smallest exponent of that letter, and that's what you're taking out. So this, we have C cubed, C to the 4th, C squared. So the smallest exponent is squared, so that's what we're taking out because they all have at least 2. Okay, so there's our GCF. So then we're going to take our GCF and we're going to put it in front of some parentheses. Okay, so then you have to figure out what's left when you take that GCF. So technically, you're dividing. Okay, so 9 divided by 3 is 3. If I take 3 out of there, there's 1A left. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. So there's my first term. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. A cubed we took out. 4 minus 2 is 2. 18 divided by 3 is 6. We took out A cubed, C squared, so that is all that's left. So this is your answer. This is in factored form. Yes, this is your GCF, but it says to factor the following, and we're factoring by taking the GCF out. Okay? So you cannot just tell me the GCF and tell me you're done. Any questions with that? Okay, so look at number 2. Let's find our GCF. Okay, so I would want you to notice from this note, it says, if the first term is negative, your GCF must be negative. So our first term is negative. Let's make sure it's in order first. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3. So it is in order, 4, 3, 3. So since our first term is negative, our GCF is going to be negative. This is what tells you. Our 9 over here was positive. That's why our GCF was positive. Here, our 15 is negative, so our GCF is going to be negative. Okay, this one does not have an A, so we cannot take an A out. Sorry, I skipped the numbers. 15, 10, and 5. What goes into all of those? 5. Okay, so we cannot take an A out, but they all have D. And then remember, we find our smallest exponent. We have 2, 2, and 3, so we're going to take out D squared. Okay, so knowing that, I'm going to bring down my negative 5D squared and put it instead of front of parentheses, and I'm going to divide negative 5D squared, negative 5D squared, negative 5D squared. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 is positive 3. The D squared's canceled, but I still have A squared. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. The d squareds cancel, but I'm still left with a. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is positive 1. I have 3 minus 2, so just d. Any questions with that? Okay, so I want you to look at number 3, and I want you to try it. There's one thing I do want to say, is that if there's no number, remember it can be a 1. Okay, so I want y'all to try that one. Ready, go. Okay, so when finding our GCF, what number would you take out here? Is there a GCF other than 1? A GCF number.
What's the last number?
It's 1. Remember I said if there is no letter, a number, you can put a 1.
Oh yeah, it'd probably be 1 then.
So our GCF is just 1. Your GCF can never be bigger than the smallest number. Okay, so 12, 14, and 1, the only GCF you can take out is 1. Okay, so then we look at our letters. They all have M and they all have N. Okay, so then we need to pay attention to what? So this has 5, 1, and 4, so we can only take out 1 M. And this is 3, 6, and 3, so we can take out 3 N's. Now, I want you to realize this is the same thing as just writing MN cubed. You do not have to put that 1, okay? It doesn't change anything. So we're going to put our MN cubed. So the numbers are going to stay the same because technically if we put a 1, 12 divided by 1 is 12. 5 minus 1 is 4, so m to the 4th power. And then the n cubed canceled. Minus 14, m canceled. 6 minus 3 is 3, so n to the 3rd power. And here the n cubes cancel, but we have 4 minus 1, so we're going to have minus m to the 3rd. Okay, any questions with that? Okay, so y'all are going to help me find the mistake here. We're going to go through it one piece at a time. Okay, so knowing what we know, is this the correct GCF? Yes, it is the correct GCF. So after we found the GCF, we divided each term, right? And there's 1, 2, 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. We divided, so this is set up correctly as well. So something's wrong between here and here. So is the GCF out front like it's supposed to be? Yes. Okay. But we only have 2 terms here when there's 3 terms here, so let's check what's happening. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1, so there's c to the first power, and 5 minus 1 is 4. So this first term, this was simplified to here correctly. Okay? 28 divided by 4 is positive 7. C squareds cancel. 3 minus 1 is squared. So this was transferred here correctly. It was simplified correctly. Now, what about this piece? What does that equal?
Cancels, right?
Kind of. What is anything divided by itself?
0.
No.
1, my bad.
1. Anything divided by itself equals 1. So there should be a plus 1, then close the parentheses here. So this is where the mistake was made. So just be careful. Anything divided by itself is 1. That means it doesn't cancel. I know that like we canceled that c squared because what's 7 times 1? 7. So it didn't change anything to put that 1 there, and that's why we ignored it when we canceled those c squareds. So yes, we say they cancel each other, but if everything cancels, remember you're dividing, so it's going to be 1. Okay? Okay, so now that we've remembered GCFs, doesn't flip, we are going to look at grouping for factoring. So GCFs, finding your GCF is a form of factoring because we found two things that multiply to give you something. I want you to realize factors, y'all, are just two or more things that multiply together to create whatever you're looking for. So if I ask you for the factors, I'm asking you what multiplies to equal this. Okay, so that's what this whole unit, the rest of this unit is factoring. Okay, so this says grouping. A big thing here is it has to be 4 terms to do grouping. Okay, so are they in order? Oh, goodness. Always put from highest to lowest degree first. Do they have a GCF? Cut in half, so on and so forth. Okay, so when you have 4 terms, so you're going to do these things first. We always need to make sure they're in order. Then this will make more sense as we go through, so I'm going to show you. We're going to skip number 5 today, actually. I'll show you another problem like that, but that one's not accurate. So let's look at number 6. So we need to make sure they're in order. This is a degree of 2, a degree of 2, a degree of 2, and a degree of 2. So the order is perfect, okay? And knowing that, we need to make sure there's no GCF of all 4 terms together. So we have 2AC, AD, 2C squared, CD. There is nothing in common all the way across. So that is when we are going to cut it in half, 2 terms on each side. So instead of just like drawing a line in the middle, we're going to put 2 sets of parentheses. That's how we're going to cut it in half, or group it. Okay, that's what that means. This just means group into 2 groups. Okay. I want you to notice too that I left that symbol with that second group. Okay. And then it says, and find the GCF of each group. Hudson! I don't know if y'all can hear the toilet flushing. Okay. Okay, so then we're going to find the GCF of each of the groups. So what is my GCF just looking at these first 2 terms? 2AC plus AD. What do they both have?
A.
So we're going to take that A out. And when we take that A out, we're left with 2C plus D. Okay. Now look at the second, what? Look at the second group. What's my GCF here?
C.
It's just C. So it's a positive C because this is positive at the front. Okay. And when I take 1C out, that cancels. C squared just cancels the C. So we still have a 2C because we only took 1C out plus D. Okay, so that is our step 3. Step 4 is just if there's no GCF, you'll still take out a 1, but these both had a GCF, so that's not worried. So it says the parentheses should match after you take out the group's GCFs. Do you see how the two sets of parentheses match? That's one of your factors. Now, your other factor is the leftovers together, A plus C. Okay, so here's our answer. Those are our two factors. If we were to double distribute, we would get this out of it. Okay? So look at number 7. Is it in order? Well, degree of 3, 2, 1, 0. It is in order. And there is no GCF of all of them because this is 1. And these 3 have an X and this one doesn't. So there's no GCF of all 4. So right away, we are going to just group it. Okay, so what is my GCF of the first half?
X squared.
What number, though? This is 4 and this is 2. Can I take a 2 out of both of those?
Yes.
Yes, so it's going to be 2x squared. Good job. Okay, so when I take out a 2x squared, well, 4 divided by 2 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1, so we still have 1x left. Anything divided by itself is what? What did we say?
1.
Yes, perfect. Okay. Now, another thing we said on the front side, or the front of the notes, is that if there's a negative in front, you have to take a negative out. So I'm going to go ahead and put my negative. Now I have 2x and I have 1. Well, the only GCF there that really isn't 1 is just 1. So that's like rule number 4. If you can't find a GCF other than 1, take out a 1. Okay? Well, when I divide both of these by -1, doesn't it just make them both positive? So my parentheses match. And then my leftovers makes my other factor. Any questions with that one? So let's look at this last one. First things first, we need to check the degrees. So degree of 2, degree of 2, degree of 1, degree of 3. So is it in the right order?
No.
So we need to take this ay squared and move it to the front. Then it'll be 3, 2, 2, 1, which is correct. So we have ay squared plus 2y squared plus az plus 2z. And now we'll do grouping, because there is not a GCF of all 4 terms. What ay squared plus 2y squared, what is my GCF? What do they both have?
Y squared.
So when I divide by y squared, both the y squareds cancel and I just have a plus 2. Then I have az plus 2z. Well, it's a positive in front, so I know I'm going to take a positive out. Okay, and they both have a z. So when I take out that z, I'm left with a plus 2. Therefore, my parentheses match, and my leftovers make my other term, or factor, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more problem. It's going to be simple, not much math, okay? If I told you, I'm going to redo number 5, that we had 2 times m plus 1 minus 3m m plus 1. If this was your problem, it has already been grouped, right? And the GCF has already been taken out. So this first step is already done for you. So what would my final answer be? Do the parentheses match? So the parentheses are one of my factors, and the leftovers would be my other factor. Okay.